and welcome to my channel. First of all, I wanted to wish you all a happy new year, since this is my first video of 2024. To start this year strong, I decided to go back to the beginnings of the channel and talk about Oneus, and on why they are the most underrated K-pop boy group of the fourth generation. Before getting into the video, I just wanted to advise you to put the captions on, so that you can better understand what's being said in the video. Now, let's get right into it. Before anything else, I think it's important to explain who Oneus are, for those that might not know a lot from them, or if it's actually the first time hearing about them. Oneus, pronounced like the words one and us together, is a 5-member boy group under RBW, the same label of the famous group Mamamoo. Being the first actual boy group of the agency, important to note that RBW actually debuted a male vocal group before. They debuted on January 9, 2019, with their song Valkyrie. And the current members are Soho, the oldest, a 96-liner, he is the main vocalist of the group, but is also part of the rap and dance lines. He's the happy virus of the group, and is also the most unserious one, being one of the funniest idols I have seen. Lido is the second oldest, being a 97-liner. He's the main rapper of Oneus, but also the lead vocalist and the lead dancer. He's also responsible for writing his own raps, and also producing some of Oneus songs, just like Echo and Gravitation.
We got nothing, only 50 minutes. 보고 싶어 네 모든 그 순간 그때 널 만날 수.
He's known for his physique, but also for his really deep voice that transforms when he starts singing. Khan, he was born in 1998, and is Oneus' lead vocalist, and is the social butterfly of the group. Think about an idol, Khan, he is probably friends with them. He trended within the Korean fanbase due to his mukbang abilities, and for his innovative ways of eating food, like the invention of Kanhee sauce. Hwan Woong is also a 98-liner and is the main dancer of the group. He graduated in first place from Sopa, a renowned dance school in South Korea, and therefore presents really fierce stages, not letting his small stature affect his stage presence, but instead making that his unique charm. And finally, Sharon, the Magne, born in 2000. Although he's the youngest, he's many times seen as the mother of the group, in the sense that is always taking care of the older members, while making sure they know he's the boss in the group. Ever since their debut in 2019, Oneus had already 11 comebacks, having released 1 single album, 1 full album, and 10 mini-albums. They also have Japanese promotions, with 4 mini-albums and 1 full album released. In total, they have released 84 unique songs so far. Their most recent comeback was in September of last year, with the release of their 10th EP La Dolce Vita, and the respective title track Baila Conmigo.
Baila, baila conmigo. 숨은 점점 가빠지고.
They are now going to resume their world tour, that started around October with the Asian and Europe leg of the tour and are now in America until April. One thing that people don't really give Oneus that much credit on is how talented the members actually are. Oneus don't only stand out in the vocal department, but also on the rap and dance departments. Soho's vocals are honey-like, and not only that, but he also can hit high notes, while maintaining stable vocals throughout the performance. You can really see why he is the main vocalist of the group.
If only it was wide awake, there's more than I can. I'm the one I should love.
But Soho isn't the only member with outstanding vocals. Kan Hee is a very underrated vocalist in the group. He has such a sweet voice that is often unutilized in the group, or at least as much as I would like. Nonetheless, his vocals are no joke, and they just comfort you in a way that not many voices do. Also, he is so stable it's incredible. He might be doing the marathon and still sing like the studio version.
You've got this look I can't describe. You make me 해일과 함께 사라질 타이밍 건 내가 Where were you in the morning, baby? 오겠죠 내게
Lido is a really interesting case. Although he is the main rapper of the group, you'll find him most of times singing instead of rapping in Oneus songs, and you can see why. He has a really good tone that differs from Soho and Kan Hee's tones. He has a much more deep and husky kind of voice, and it just complements the group so well.
내 전부를 걸었으니까 처음 마주쳤을 때처럼 혼자 다시 모른 척 불안한 내 눈빛 속에 널 담아 아프더라도 너만 떠나간 너의 숨결 아직도 널 사랑해.
I would like to point out that Hwan Woong's vocals go unnoticed most of the times, but he does the job perfectly too, and just like Lido, he brings a new color to the group's songs. And that really describes Oneus perfectly, a group with vocals full of colors, because Sharon brings his own color to the group, because he also brings a deeper voice like Lido, but while Lido's is more husky, I find Sharon's colder. With this, Oneus is a group with a diverse palette of colors when it comes to vocals. In fact, I can easily distinguish who is singing what in their songs, especially their B-sides, that we still have to see them perform live. But since their voices sound so different from each other, you don't need any other support to know that. You might think this makes the group unable to release a song that sounds coherent, but that's not the case at all. Their songs always manage to mix these different tones together, and take advantage of this palette of voices really well, and it works. Lido is the main rapper of the group as I said, but his singing voice is actually quite different from his rapping voice, that is much deeper and aggressive. Lido's rapping style prioritizes flow over speed, but just hearing to his raps you can see how different they are from other boy groups. You just don't see these deep voices in K-pop that often, and much less in rappers, at least this deep. And Lido's rapping is just incredible. His flow is amazing, and he usually writes what he raps, which is always great, and that's what makes him one of the most credited idols of the fourth general. You can really see in his raps the YG influence, since he was a YG trainee for quite some time.
하루 종일 네가 보고 볼 때마다 본을 확인을 하면 할수록 점점 비참해져 몸을 쓰고 가버린 너의 향기 지워지지 않는 자국.
But Lido isn't the only responsible for the rap in Oneus. Hwan Woong is also a rapper for the group since very early on in their career, mainly with smaller parts, but recently he has been getting more rap parts. His raps offer a contrast to Lido's ones, because his voice is just very different from Lido's, and presents a more high-pitched rap. Soho, Oneus' main vocalist, is actually also a rapper for the group. His rap style also contrasts with Lido's style, since his raps usually focus more on speed or on the pronunciation of the words. He is actually a really good rapper. He didn't debut in the group as a rapper, but as the group matured, he started doing some raps for the group, and now we actually expect some or other song to feature a rap from Soho.
줄게 모조리
I think for a K-pop group, Oneus are really well served in terms of rappers, well above average, and although they have a good amount of rappers, they don't overlap each other in styles, which I think it's really good for a group. Oneus dances are often overlooked, but the truth is, their latest choreographies have been really catchy and complex, and the members have been absolutely slaying them. What also helps Oneus is the fact that they have one of the most talented dancers of the fourth generation, Wonwon. He is without a doubt the main dancer of the group. His charisma on stage makes sure that you're never bored, and his high technique is noticeable even for those who are not dance experts. Not only is he a great dancer, but Wonwon also participates in choreographing for the group's songs. One example is the choreo of one of their most popular songs, Same Scent, for which he was the creative director for. You can also see this by the many dance covers he has done over the years, that were always able to impress the audience.
I can't get it back. No more, no more.
Lido is also one of the greatest dancers of the group, being the center for the choreo many times, using his physique in his favor, by seemingly occupying the whole stage when he performs, and his sexy covers always catch a lot of attention. The other member also part of the dance line is Soho, that has shown a lot of improvement since his debut, and his dance skills are so much better, that he is actually one of the best dancers of the group. Soho is also the main member when it comes for the big standout in dance breaks when they are doing special stages, due to the fact that he has incredible acrobatics, and has many times elevated the stages of the group one step further. It's also really important to note that Oneus were denominated as the stage geniuses of the fourth generation by Kinetizens, which further shows how good their stages are. You may see a lot of people call Oneus as a self-made group, and that is due to the fact that they participate in the writing and choreographing of their songs, as I said, but they also have produced songs for themselves. Lido and Soho have already participated in the composing of several Oneus songs, such as Epilogue, Leftover and White Night. As you can see, Oneus are well versed in all main aspects a K-pop group needs to be: vocals, rap, dance, and producing. There aren't many groups in K-pop that have been able to have members that distinguish themselves in the industry in each of the areas, but Oneus has done it, and this gives them a lot of potential for any song they may release in the future, because the options are endless. Besides shining in each of the categories I mentioned earlier, Oneus also have an unique spark to them that makes them stand out from other fourth-gen boy groups: their image. Oneus have this very mature image to them that other groups from this generation don't have. You look at them ever since their debut, and you see not properly a boy group, but I would say it's more suitable to say you see a man group. This might be due to the fact that they are indeed a bit older in terms of age comparing to other fourth-gen boy groups, but I don't think that's the main reason, because CIX, another fourth-gen group, is also able to achieve a more mature image for the group, while having the same age as other fourth-gen groups, and Oneus aren't that much older.
She's a movie star. 너의 모든 게 꿈 같아.
I think many people will agree when I say we had a lack of boy groups with a more mature image. In my opinion, that is also largely due to the fact that the noisy sound that most boy groups from this time went for, that doesn't let groups show a more mature side, but I also think that the majority of companies really promoted their groups to be closer to age in relation to their public, that is majorly composed by teens. I don't think, in any way, that it's bad for these groups to have this more immature image to them. There's also a charm to that. But Oneus really stands out from the other groups because of that, and gives us what this generation was lacking. This image that Oneus has built for themselves also reflects on their music, which is also something that separates them from other groups. Oneus always released songs that showcased this mature side of them, through a variety of concepts that you would rarely see any other group do. One perfect example is how they managed to show their own charm in a traditional concept like Lit. Lit is a perfect example on how there's no other group like Oneus in this generation. They are able to show their sound, and fuse it with traditional Korean music, and make this song, that although being a traditional concept, still stands as a recent K-pop song, not sounding even a bit outdated. This balance is really hard to get, but Oneus did it. 2 years after, Oneus went for the traditional concept again, with their song Luna, yet, they were able to make this song a different entity from Lit, instead of a Lit 2.0. And this is another charm of Oneus, on how they can always rearrange a concept to be unique in its own interpretation. While Lit was a festive song, with a really upbeat melody and choreography, Luna is much more of a sentimental song, that addresses the topic of neglecting the person that loves you, and the contrast between the two songs is abysmal, right from the beginning. I have yet to see another boy group that has had such a well-fleshed-out traditional concept like Oneus, in this generation. And this is only their most iconic example, because their discography is full of this. Same Scent is the song that shows the best this mature and elegant image of Oneus, that you just don't see in this generation, and it's why I think Oneus just brings so much to the boy group pool. This is a song that could only be pulled of by a men group, as I explained earlier, and Oneus ate this song. The biggest complaint we had of the 4th gen, was how all of the boy groups just meshed together, and this song just shows how we could have gotten much more from this gen, instead of the noisy sound that was done so many times. To Be or Not to Be is another song from Oneus that elevates K-pop to its best level, and on why we listen to K-pop, a genre that isn't afraid to go beyond what's trendy and release the same sound over and over again, without any substance to it. This song goes into a concept I like to call it twisted concept, which I have made a video about in the past. Basically, this song is able to use a very heavenly and peaceful melody, and overlay it with a dark, intense and hopeless sound, and questions on how a beautiful love that has ended should or not have happened, just like the title implies. The song has segments that rely much more on the heavenly sounds and others that rely more on the dark melodies, but in the chorus they are able to fuse this two perfectly. I have yet to see this concept taken to this extreme in K-pop ever since. Even their most recent song, Baila Conmigo, is a perfect example of how their discography is so unique. This Mumbathon-based song was able to integrate a classical music sample with a Latino soundscape, and that, for me, is incredible, because it sounds incredibly good and unique. The vibe of this song is just really so different from what I have heard throughout the entirety of 2023, and it was such a breath of fresh air. And the choreography for this song was done so elegantly, without trying to make it trendy or TikTokable. They focused on encapsulating the soundscape and message of the song in their moves, and it's perfectly done. Even when Oneus explore more generic soundscapes, they are also able to bring their own twist to it, and make it stand out as their own work. A perfect example is No Diggity, a song that delves into the noisy sounds, but with a pre-chorus heavily focused on vocals, that is one of Oneus' signature, making this song stand out from the other songs of this type, and you can hear it, and say, oh, this is definitely a Oneus song. I think there's no doubt this is what sets Oneus apart from other groups, and makes them the most unique group from this generation, giving us exactly what this generation was lacking. With Oneus being such a talented group that exceeds in the vocal, rap and dance departments, is able to produce their own work, and still stand out so much from the other groups and filling the industry with what's lacking, why aren't they more popular, you ask? Well, it's not an easy question, since it has no direct answer. There are many things that have to be considered. One of them is the fact that Oneus aren't from a big company. Due to that, they didn't and still don't have the same opportunities as the groups that come from more well-established agencies. With less opportunities, there's less space for the public to get to know them and recognize their talent. Not only that, there's also a stigma around these groups from smaller agencies that they aren't or they can't be as good as the big agency groups, so there's also this resistance towards groups like Oneus from the public in getting to know them. This last point seems to be really common, because Oneus are generally a known group, people have heard about them, but little of them have really checked them or their songs out. It has also been really hard for Oneus to get their songs to the general public. It seems like no matter how much praised their song is, it will rarely reach much further than their fans and some more hardcore K-pop fans. This is likely due to mismanagement from the company in promoting the group and their songs, that has been a more common issue in recent years. Oneus have started as a really small group, only selling 4,000 albums in their debut week, and have organically grown ever since, selling more than 200,000 albums with their recent releases, and this was due to the fact that their debut and earlier releases were able to reach this general public. But after the pandemic, I think a lot of groups started to have less opportunities to reach the general public, and unfortunately Oneus was also affected. The only song that seemed to reach this general public, aside from their earlier releases, was Same Scent, but its momentum was quickly cut off, due to a scandal that surrounded the group. Without going too deep into the scandal, Oneus was originally a 6-member group. During this period, their 6th member Raven was caught in a controversy that made him leave the group. This led to a lot of fan wars inside the fandom, and also redirected the general public's attention to other groups. I do think that this incident also affected their growth as a group, since they had to start over in building that momentum. Nonetheless, Oneus has a lot of potential to be uncovered by many K-pop fans that simply don't know about them, because it's hard for a group to leave the more restricted circle of K-pop listeners that groups like them are, that simply need a little push to get out there and start gaining the much-deserved recognition. With the cover of the last topic, I don't want any of you to have the idea that Oneus are not doing well as a group. That's not true at all. While I think they deserved much more fame, therefore the title of this video, Oneus are still one of the biggest 4th-gen boy groups. As I said, they started with 4,000 albums sold in their first week of debut, and now they are able to achieve almost 250,000 albums sold in their first week. That's a massive growth. This growth started with the success of their debut track, that showed right off the bat that Oneus were going to be a unique group in this industry, debuting with an unconventional sound for their generation. This interest was further amplified with their second comeback with Lit, that was already mentioned, and that made a lot of noise in K-pop community at the time, for the obvious reason that it was indeed a unique song. Their first really big growth in fanbase came from participating in Net's survival show Road to Kingdom, making their album sales rise from 14,000 to 55,000. This was followed by a big success with No Diggity, that made them grow even further, and they were nominated for a music show win in a lot of shows, including Inkigayo. In fact, in the previous comeback, they were really close to have their first music show win. In the end of 2021, they released what might be their most iconic song, Luna, and were able to achieve not only their first ever music show win, but also reach 170,000 sales with their album. In September of next year, they had their comeback with Same Scent, that made them really enter the general public's eyesight, and they were able to continue selling really well with this album, as of now, almost at the 250,000 units sold, and also to win 4 music show wins with this single track, which is an achievement only other 5 boy groups of this generation were able to do. They also have already 5 music videos in the 30 million views range. And their Spotify streams are also quite good. Even with their 2 most recent comebacks, they were able to maintain their album sales in the 200K range, and achieve 3 more music show wins. So although they aren't the biggest group of the generation, they are doing fairly well and are certainly bringing the money to the company, because their tours have been selling really well, and their US tour has been really successful, with sold-out venues. Although Oneus have doing well for themselves, I think they have the talent and the artistry for going much higher, and deserve more recognition for that. So with this video, I hope I made you, who didn't know Oneus, interested in them and will definitely give them a try, or for those who are already to moons, made you realize how lucky we are for being to stand such amazing artists. This is the time to get into Oneus and take advantage of being A to moon while they are still active. The truth is that Soho has to enlist this year, so their next comeback will probably be their last one as a full group for a while. I don't know if they are still going to do group activities without Soho, or if they will wait for everyone to resume their military duties to come back as a full group, but I think we should really enjoy this next comeback that will come. Also, for any American K-pop fan that just got interested in them, watch out for the rest of the US tour. You should check out their social media for more info on how to get the tickets, but the dates are being shown now on screen, and if you have the opportunity or the interest, I recommend going on one of their concerts. As A to moon for basically 5 years, it fills my heart to see how much they have grown, and I just wish for an even better future for them, and even more recognition. Having to say goodbye from the full group activities, although only temporarily, it will be hard, so, for now, I will just enjoy these last few months, and wanted to invite you to do the same. Thank you for watching.
Fly me to the moon, 나를 데려가